Damn, I ain't been broke in a minute. Damn, man. Damn.
The word is damn.
Damn. That's the word of the day. Damn. Tory Lanez has been sentenced to 10 years in prison. 10
Yep.
years in prison is a long ass time. Like,
Yeah, it's long as shit.
fucking.
And then he's been sentenced to 10 years in jail because in 2020 he apparently shot Megan Thee Stallion in the foot. Okay.
So, for those who don't know, Tory Lanez is a rapper or a recording artist. Megan Thee Stallion is also a recording artist / rapper, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if they were dating or not or whatever, but they went out to a party in LA one night. It was like Tory, his security guard, Meg, and like Megan's friend was like in the car. Megan's friend is not a recording artist, I don't think.
He's just Megan's
Apparently,
friend.
They got into like an argument or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Megan gets out of the car, and according to Megan, Tory shoots her or shoots at her, but the bullet
ends up
grazes her foot or enters her foot at like a weird angle, whatever. So she gets shot. She doesn't want to get him in trouble, so she doesn't initially snitch. But then, when everyone starts like having their speculations and I guess going at Meg for lying or whatever, she takes the Instagram live and goes, "No, Tory shot me." Or whatever, and this is what he said, and then this is what sparked this whole thing. I don't think Megan pressed any charges. I think the state pressed the charges.
Yeah, so
right?
essentially, when someone does something wrong, especially if you have a firearm involved, the state will press charges against you, even if the other person didn't press charges against you.
I think that.
And now, if the person presses charges against you, I think that's a strike against you at court when the state is going for you.
So theoretically, because she took to Instagram to say that he was the one that shot me, technically speaking, now you by law have to maybe, like, when the prosecutor comes to you, like, you kind of have to give that part of your statement, right? To say like that is because they're gonna ask you, because that's the reason they're bringing those charges to
victim,
you, right? It's like, all right, there's an illegal firearm. It was used.
Well, no. Also, the cops were called that night because the neighbors around there had heard gunshots, and they was like, no." So they called the cops. So essentially, that's what incited that whole thing being a Megan thing.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
And then, damn, like I'm gonna be honest though, this has to be the most like not high profile case of a famous person, right? Because OJ, I think, still has like the cream of the crop for that shit. But like, I think that this has to be the most high profile instance with two celebrities that are that top tier, in which one of them did something to the other, in which it's a crime that like not even like somebody with a lot of money can kind of gloss over, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right? That's just insane that, like, first of all, if he did do it, that's insane that he even did that. But I had no idea that, like, come on, man, like, what was his charges? It was the fact that the gun was illegal.
It was, so at first it was assault with a firearm. Right? It was an unregistered it was the charges of having a loaded unregistered firearm
and using it negligently.
And negligently using a firearm.
And then assault.
Yeah, so assault and then 2 firearm charges.
So now my
question, which ended up being felonies.
So wait, which ones are felonies? Not the assault.
I think the 2 gun ones are felonies.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like, my question now is how much lighter would the sentence have been if the gun was not legal? Right? Like, how much of that 10 years is due to the fact that the gun is illegal? I think that's like at least 60 to 70% of the charge.
He would have probably gotten like 5 years or like 4. No, because he's also, think about it, he's also not Canadian. He's also not American. He's Canadian. So he's a foreigner in the U.S. making money in the U.S. or working in the U.S., but he shot a U.S. citizen. That's the way to look at it. He shot at a U.S. citizen. So technically, he's still like they're trying to just make an example out of him. Like, you kind of can't come here and say you're a foreigner and then have all these privileges and then come shooting up one of our Americans. Like, fuck out of here type shit.
You know what I learned out of this whole experience too?
What did you learn?
Experience. Like, I'm experiencing the shit. No, I mean, technically I am, right? Like, experiencing from like a viewer standpoint.
From a viewer standpoint, right? Hell yeah.
what I learned is I had no idea that states had minimums of how much of a sentence you have to carry out.
Yeah.
I thought it was just because I've heard stories of people doing heinous crimes and getting out in like 3 to 5 years and shit. So
Yeah.
I had no idea that they had minimums on it where it's like,
Well, okay, so
you
essentially,
have to, like, if we sentence you to 10,
yeah,
like,
you
I'm
have to
saying that
serve
because
80% of your
he
sentence.
in the state of California, what is it? He has to serve at least
80%.
75%.
No,
80%.
80.
Oh
80
yeah,
to 85.
but he's done at least 5% of it already. So that's why it's like 7.5 years.
Yeah.
He theoretically has to do
Yeah.
at minimum. But then he can do an appeal, I think, in 2 to 3 years or 3 to 4 years.
Something like that.
Which means theoretically for any diehard Tory fans out there, or for anyone that thinks that he's innocent or whatever, or just wants him to get out, even if he is innocent, doesn't feel like the 10-year sentence is fair or whatever.
Mhm.
Like he's not getting out guaranteed until minimum
Right.
2026.
Even if it's with probation, even with anything.
Like minimum
he has
end
to
of
serve,
2026.
He has
like,
to serve at least 8 years. So he got sentenced to 10 years. You have to
Well,
wait,
with
hold
the
on.
appeal thing,
No,
though.
let's do the math though. Hold on.
Okay, let's do the math.
Okay, he got sentenced to 10 years. You have to serve at least 80% of your sentence, at least 80% of your sentence in California. So that's 8 years.
Okay.
Right? He's already been in house arrest for about a year, maybe a year and a half, right?
What?
Yeah, he's been on house arrest.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Well, I mean, you're a foreigner who shot an American.
I saw him on a couple podcasts. I didn't know he was.
He was probably like, they probably came to his house.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
I didn't think about that.
But yeah, so technically he still has to serve 7 years. So the soonest he'll get out is 2030. And that, I'm not sure if that includes probation. I don't think that. I'm not sure about that probation clause. But I know that if he does appeal, like that's a thing. Like if his let's say he does decide to, hey, I want to appeal because I feel like my case didn't have enough evidence, or the evidence was kind of like rigged against me, like there's little things that you can do to appeal.
Look, I sympathize with the people who think that this is bullshit and that he maybe didn't do it.
All right.
But thinking from a logical standpoint, there's only 4. If there was only 4 people in the car.
Okay.
Right. And the security guard clearly didn't do it.
Okay.
Right.
Was the security guard in the car?
Then they said it was like a driver, a security guard, and
so they were probably in the front.
Or the driver was the security guard or something.
Okay.
And then there's Tory, and then there's Megan.
Wasn't it a limo? Right? So it was a limo.
Was it a limo? I thought it was just like a regular black sedan or something, right?
Oh, I'm not sure.
I don't know, right? But all I'm saying is this, right? When you look at everybody that's involved, right? Like obviously Meg didn't shoot herself in the foot, right?
No,
like
that would be
the only other
crazy.
person that we can see that could be a culprit in this scenario would be Megan's friend.
Right.
Now we don't know like what the full context of
the situation
is, because only they were there.
That's true.
That's why, going based off of what we're hearing, it would sound like, yeah, Tory at least had something to do
with it,
with the fact that Megan got hit with a bullet.
Yeah.
Like that's all that we know. Right? Like, or even this, right? Like, if it really was the friend, like some people are speculating, why would there be that phone call with him saying, like, apologizing?
So that phone call you're referring to is the phone call that Tory Lanez did the morning after he got arrested. When the cops came that night, he called Megan's friend apologizing for everything.
Yeah, like, like we was all fucked up or whatever, right? Like, I don't have line for line like what he said, but he said something along those lines.
Right.
Where it sounds like he's basically apologizing for the chain of events that went down.
Not just that. He's apologizing for it. And then I think when he got sentenced, he apologized, kind of like admitting to it a little bit, saying like, oh, like I wish I could change like how like the past, but I can't. So I don't know. That's something.
Right. So like, I feel like it's the situation, and the reason I'm saying all that is I feel like the situation is muddy enough.
Yes.
Muddied enough. Because remember, murder is like one of the highest crimes. Like there's no statute of limitations, like all type of stuff, right?
Yeah.
But even in murder, if there's no body and there's no murder weapon,
right, how can you prove?
There's no case.
Right. How can you prove that that's the case?
So you got a lot of people that walk free off of something that everybody that in that room knows, and even the killer knows that everybody knows. Even the lawyers and the judges, but there's no way. Like the due process is we need to be able to prove it 100% without a doubt, right?
Right.
And there's a lot of instances where people do go to jail for heinous crimes, but then when they appeal a couple years later, they get out off of the fact that, hey, I served my time because all the evidence does point to me. There's enough evidence to say that you're strong, that you have a strong enough opinion that it's me, but not enough to 100% put me in the wrong for everything that you sentenced me.
Right.
So therefore, when you go back to appeal, when they let you out, they're basically saying, I think this is how I look. Listen, I'm not a lawyer. I did not go to school for law, right? So I'm just sharing this,
right?
Like, but I've just seen a lot of these like crime shows, and I don't mean crime shows like the fake ones, right? I mean like the real ones, right? Like you could come back up, and when they do the appeal, right, they're looking at it like, okay, it's the situation's muddy enough where we was not able to fully prove everything, but he did serve some time.
Right.
Like we had him in here for at least half
it's not
of
just
what that is. So now instead we can't hold him to that 80% thing because he's appealing it. So we're not gonna. So now we feel like it's even. I feel like this situation is muddy enough where when he comes back for an appeal in like maybe 3 years or so, 4 years, he'll get off. Now,
probably,
granted,
who knows?
I am a Tory Lanez fan.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be biased in this situation. If he did shoot Megan in the foot, I think that is some bitch ass shit. Right. Doesn't make him a bitch, but I think, you did some bitch ass shit in the moment. And we all have these moments where we do bitch ass shit.
Yeah, I mean, we're human.
But like, yeah, exactly. So we make mistakes. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Just this mistake is gonna cost you a couple years serving some time, right? And obviously you're gonna have some fans that don't agree, some fans that are so diehard that they don't want to see the facts, right? But like, I mean, it is what it is. It's an unfortunate situation, even for the victim, Meg, right? Like, I don't feel like we talk enough about the person that got shot in the fucking foot, right? Because clearly, right? I know there's this weird ass narrative because of all these podcasts and all this shit that's going around and all these man versus women shit that like, oh, maybe she's lying and maybe she's this and maybe she's that. But I mean, clearly she got shot in the foot.
Right.
Clearly there was a gun. Clearly there was an illegal gun. Clearly that illegal gun belongs to somebody, and the only person they can pin it on is the person that's going to prison for it. So even if they took off the charge of assaulting her with it, the gun did get discharged. It is an illegal gun.
Right.
Therefore, unregistered. And not to mention, I don't think that's his first run-in with the law. He's not an American citizen. Yeah. So they're looking at it like, bro.
All right, buddy, you gotta.
Like, I mean, unless you're Kodak, who's damn near Teflon to Don. Like, he's dodged more shits than the damn mafia themselves.
Kodak is a freaking American citizen.
Exactly.
They're like, we stuck with you. We gotta deal with you.
Exactly. And he got pardoned by Trump. So unless you're like Kodak in this situation, yeah. Your thing. And
so wait, hold on. Really?
And my last point on that is if we were talking about Daystar, which is Tory's real name, if we were talking about Daystar, the bus driver, right?
The bus driver's crazy.
He'd have been in jail.
Yeah.
Like he'd have been in prison.
Yeah.
From that day, from the day after it happened.
Yeah, it would have been like, all right, buddy, you wrong. You know you're wrong.
No house arrest. Probably more than 10 years.
Yes.
If I'm being honest.
I feel like it would have been 12 to 15 if he was just a regular person.
Like if he was a Daystar fucking bus driver or the Walmart cashier, I think we'd have been looking at 12 to 15.
Yeah. So really quickly, back on that whole probation thing. The whole probation
and deportation.
Thing. And
is he getting deported?
So we'll touch on that real quick. Really quickly, going back on that whole, like whether or not he'll appeal, right? Yeah. And all these like probation things. I think it depends on how his behavior is in jail, right? Essentially, that's what the judges look at. I don't know the full on exact like, oh, what did they look at and what percent, whatever the fuck. But I know like that's part of it, right? When someone's making an appeal and they want to get out, the reason you have to basically, when you're making an appeal, you have to give the judge a reason to let you out. And the reason would be because you're being good, you're doing good behavior. And Tory Lanez got, he got some great letters into the judge, right? From a bunch of people saying he's doing great things. And even the judge was like, look, sometimes people do stupid things, do bad things. Good people do bad things, but you still have to pay for your consequences. And essentially, I think that's what they're going to use. They're going to use that whole Tory Lanez is a good person, um, to run his appeal and probably try to show Tory being a good person in jail. Now back to that whole
They
deportation
also
thing.
just got engaged. Or
Yeah, yeah.
why didn't you do that before?
But DJ, that's what DJ Academics was saying. And I mean, look, this is very much illegal talk, but could have been got married for papers. He could have very easily got married for papers.
Yeah, but if that's the case, why didn't you do that before? You said DJ Academics was talking about that?
Yeah, DJ Academics said, yo, why the fuck did you not do that before? He was talking about, DJ Academics was talking about how his mom came here from Jamaica.
He's Jamaican.
Paid someone his mom paid someone $10,000 to marry her and give her papers. Like, that's what he said. So, I mean, look,
bro, you got all
Tory
the millions.
Lanez could have done all
game,
the
bro?
same damn shit.
What's going on?
He got a whole kid. He has a whole, he recently got engaged. Yes.
I know that.
Exactly.
Wow.
So it's sad because now it's a father in jail, right? When he could have, all this shit could have, I don't know. Now he's at risk of deportation because I don't know what the stance on deportation is when someone commits a crime like that, especially carrying an unregistered firearm and shooting an American citizen. Like, I don't know what the thing is, but chances are they're probably gonna kick him out of the country for a good 4 years.
I never understood the unregistered firearm with rappers. I don't fucking understand that shit.
Well,
I don't understand. No, somebody explain this shit to me.
You know what it is?
Understand. You have millions of dollars.
Yes.
Not every rapper, but this rapper.
A lot of rappers.
You have millions of dollars, right? You have security.
Right.
Who can legally carry the shit.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying you don't carry something, but why is it unregistered?
I don't know.
Hold on. Listen. That does not even make any sense, right? If you have a firearm, it's to protect yourself.
Can you carry
right?
Can you carry a weapon in
California?
Yeah.
It's probably just as difficult as it is here in New York.
Okay.
Probably a little less difficult, but New York is hella strict. But listen, right? I lost my train of thought. Yeah, doesn't make any sense. Even if you're carrying it to defend yourself, the fact that it's unregistered, even if some shit happens to you and you fire at that person,
right,
and something happens, even though you were defending yourself, the gun is still unregistered. You're gonna get in trouble for the fact that the gun was unregistered.
Right.
And you better hope the person doesn't die.
Exactly.
Because now, mofo's gonna be looking at you like, but the gun was unregistered. You weren't supposed to have it.
Exactly.
Fuck what they were doing to you. Now.
Right.
They're not here to talk about that.
Right.
They're not here to talk about that. We could have handled that in court.
Right.
You took this person's life, or you took this person's arm with an unregistered firearm. You didn't even have the right
to even carry the shit.
Now, look, that's a whole different ballgame. I'm not talking about the laws and all that shit. I'm pro guns, depending on the situation, right? Depending on who's getting them, right? I'm pro guns.
How and where? But
and where you get them,
right?
Pro guns. I want everybody to be able to defend themselves if some dickhead wants to come do some shit to you, right? But, I just don't understand where, if it's unregistered, it never crosses my mind to say that I want to have an unregistered firearm on me, because if I have security, I can understand somebody like me walking down the street in New York with it unregistered, because I go, look, at least I'll make it home. I'll rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6.
Exactly.
But you got millions of dollars. If that's the case, I'm just hiring more security.
Sometimes
I'd rather walk around with a taser.
Sometimes it's the pride and the ego of the I believe of the entertainer, if that's the word.
And what makes it even worse?
Hold on, and I think it's also the culture.
Yeah, it is
I
the
think
culture.
it's also like the culture that's being promoted of, oh well, like, yeah, I carry a gun, I'm gonna shoot you, like, I think it's all that shit is taken too lightly.
Yes, that's the part I wanted to get to. That whole this gun culture is just taken too lightly.
Yeah.
I think was it Polo G or one of them that was
Mm.
walking around with his gun with no security. That was like, I'm walking around with no security, but what the
Dude.
fuck are we doing, dog? That doesn't even make any fucking sense. You was better off hiring 2 security guards that can legally carry it.
Yes.
It would cost you less in the long run.
Yes.
People don't understand the difference between costing more and costing less, and losing more and losing less,
Yeah.
and making more and making
But you know what
less.
it also is? Is
Because
also
people
the
don't understand the
lifestyle.
laws of probability,
Yes.
the laws of like, there's so much that goes into a decision
But wait, hold
that
on.
only statisticians really understand, and that's why
Yeah.
that's how insurances make money. I'm not gonna get too geeky on it, but that's how insurances make money. That's how
A shit ton.
casinos make money,
Right.
right? Like, but if you understand statistics,
Mhm.
not just on the bullshit that the average person with a phone in their pocket and Google
Right.
understand statistics by just Googling stats. If you understand statistics from a little more, like, in like with just more than the average person,
Mhm.
you understand that that does not make any sense.
No, it doesn't. And okay, so here's the thing, right? It's not, it's beyond like stats and stuff. It's beyond those. I think a lot of rappers, a lot of these people get caught up in the culture outside of the guns. The designer clothes, the bags, the this, the that, the cars, that that money that they're using for all of these extra things could go towards security, right? Could go towards their safety and ensuring that they don't have to go and deal with a jail time
Or
because
just
of
going to
carrying an
court and
illegal.
paying $200,000 to your lawyer 5 or 6 times over the course of a decade,
Right.
and then looking up and go, damn, I've paid lawyers $5 million. Would I have paid $5 million in security with that time? Think
Right.
about the time you spent going to court. Think about the
Right.
money you spent on the lawyers. Think about the
Right.
settlements that you pay out.
Right.
Think about the risk of going to jail.
Right.
Because
And it kind of goes back to that whole takeoff thing, right? Like that whole, why are we even doing this?
Why
Like,
are we here?
why is the culture like this? Like, do we stop and question ourselves? Like, why is this the culture? Why have we made this the culture? I don't think we just stop and ask ourselves, like, why? We just do it.
You know why? The same thing like social media, how the lines get blurred between reality and entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
I think the same thing when it comes to music, right?
Right.
Reality and entertainment, those lines get blurred really bad.
Okay.
And the culture in which hip hop was born was out of like the hoods, right?
Right.
And a lot of people view the hoods as like this big negative thing. There's a lot of like positives and what's the other word that I'm looking for? There's a lot of positives and fun that goes on in the hoods. Like there's
good fun,
during
healthy
the
fun.
summer, right? I know in music videos to show hard times, they'll show people like drinking the Kool-Aid, 8 or 9 people sleeping in a living room on a sleepover with all their cousins, and kids playing in the fire hydrants, and like a bunch of people hanging out in front of the building and playing dominoes. But if you ever grew up in the hood or visited a friend in the hood and participate in those activities, outside of like maybe the gun violence that might go down by the other people that are disenfranchised but choose to use that as a negative, outside of that, those are some good memories.
Yeah.
You feel me? I have a lot of good memories of me visiting friends that lived in not the best neighborhoods, playing dominoes in front of their building.
Exactly.
Like going to the store and late at night and just like buying shit at the store. Like we're not
Buying
doing
snacks,
anything wrong either. Right? Like playing in a fucking fire hydrant. I've never done it, but I've seen people do it, and
They've
kids
done
look
it.
like they're having a fucking blast.
It's
You feel me? The
better than a
parents are
damn water
outside.
park.
It looks ghetto because they're outside drinking their Coronas or whatever, but that's no different than when people have a barbecue at their house and in the backyard drinking. They're doing the same thing. It's just that they don't have another place to do it. So like, I feel like the culture takes, like when you make it, right? Like you still have a connection to those people and those things.
Yeah.
So you want to go back, you want to do those things, but you don't realize how dangerous those things are to you now. They've gotten heightened the amount of danger because now you're an eyesore. right?
Yeah.
You're a target.
You stand out.
You stand out.
Yeah.
You're no longer Joe Schmo that's
Yeah.
right there. You're this guy. And it's the same thing, like I said, walking around New York City. If I walked around New York City with unregistered firearm, I'm way less likely to get caught with it than maybe somebody like Tory Lanez, who has more eyeballs on him, who's going to be in more situations in which he might need
might
to
not
pull it out, or
right.
feel like he needs to pull it out.
Right.
But in this situation, I think this is a prime example, perfect example, why the celebrity or the rapper doesn't need to have it on.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because now you end up in situations where if you're too drunk, if it falls out of your pocket and then discharges,
right.
There's too
or if
many,
someone takes it off you and then shoots somebody else.
Now there's too many probabilities that just point back to why the fuck did you have that
in the first place?
Yeah.
Why are we even doing this? So I think it all comes down to essentially.
So it's not worth it.
Just it's the same thing as that Kai Cenat situation, right? It's essentially knowing who you are, where you are, and what you need to do.